Good evening, Ben, and good evening, who am I?
Good evening, Ben, and good evening, who am I?
It's good to be back after 3 weeks. Unfortunately, had some stuff to deal with at uni, which needed me to do other stuff on Wednesday evenings, basically. But we are back. Kind of frustrating that it's only 13 drivers, and it seems like everyone is trying their hardest to lose this championship. With Tom going on holiday recently, Engine now being delayed, and I think Hendricks and Rapid are the other people who still have a chance of winning the championship. They're the ones who are actually in here, and I think they have been putting up some good results the past few weeks as well. And we've actually already been at Spa this season, in a sense, because this is where we had our preseason race, and incidentally, it was a very small grid for that one as well. So I don't know why that happens at Spa. It's one of the nicest tracks, in my opinion. Also, I think the longest track in F1 at just over 7 kilometers, or in the other system, it's something like 3.4 miles, something like that. Of course, a very picturesque and well-known track. Yeah, that does make sense that I didn't notice you weren't here. I think the last race I did was Japan, which you won, so I didn't notice that. Good evening, Ian, as well. So, while people are living on outlaps, we're gonna have a little bit more time than usual because, of course, as Chichi has retired, so that is the qualibans being served there. Not really the textbook way to serve a qualiban, but it's the penultimate race of the season, and there's only 13 people. I don't think we are really gonna make an issue out of that. So, of course, with the length of this track, it's gonna mean that the outlaps are gonna be longer than anywhere else. So I'm gonna have quite some time to read through the current standings and stuff. In terms of the drivers' championships, we have Engine, who has only one win, and that was way long ago. That was, 10 weeks ago, over 2 months ago, the only win for Engine came. But then again, here in FLR we are quite used to having champions with few wins. I mean, our first ever champion, Pilavidis, in Season 1 only had one win. I only had one win when I won the championship last season as well. And I want to say, I think we had another champion somewhere along the way with only one victory, so it's nothing new. But then again, Engine still has to get it done, and he currently is not doing that because he's not on track, and I haven't seen a message from him yet, so hopefully he will be able to join. But Engine holds a 25-point lead, and then is very tight for P2. We've got Alex Hendrick leading the way with Rapid on the same point, so that is actually the wrong order in the standings, because Rapid has a win and Alex Hendrick doesn't have a win, so they should be the other way around, because Rapid has the tiebreaker. So Rapid is P2, then you have Alex Hendricks on the same points, and then you have Tongo Prof, who has missed Japan and has also missed the same races that I missed, and he's 1 point behind both Hendricks and Rapid. And then everyone else is out of contention. We've got Puko, who is already 34 points behind, and he also cannot make it today. So our drivers' battle for the championship is down to 4. In terms of the teams, there is a 3-team battle with Kicksauber, McLaren, Visa separated by 26 points. Yeah, you can get an invite, yeah, sure. Yeah, should have one now. Gonna send another one just in case. You know, weird things happen with these invites. Back to the action, we got Reza starting a lap. Reza has been settling into the league quite nicely. He is currently P14 in the standings, which is commendable for only doing about half the races, due to joining mid-season, of course. Indy has climbing Radion as Rassi, his teammate, put in the first lap of the day. It's going to be a 44.6. Barnard's provisional P2, 45 flat. And Engine has joined. Hopefully this is the only time he will need to be joining the session today, if you know what I mean. Josh punches his way to the top, 43.7. So that is over a second faster than Rassi, and you can get used to that. The gaps are gonna be larger today than on any other day. Maybe in Baku they were larger, but Spa is a lot easier than Baku, don't get me wrong, but it's just very long, and that's how those large gaps get created. As Reza makes his way out of Stavel 02, I think that corner is called, and on the straight. The corner that he just went through, which is actually a straight, is called Blanchemont. And of course, now coming down to the well-known bus-stop chicane, hard on the brakes. Actually went off the brake, and then went on the brake again, but I don't think it cost him too much. Out of deployment, and it's gonna go 42.7, so we currently have the top three separated by a quite large margin of 1.8 seconds. Make that only 1.1 seconds as Ian goes P3. We also got two new drivers. We got Norman Wu in the Merc and Alexei? I don't know. I'm gonna come up with something that sounds about right. Who am I now on top in his own category, as he sometimes is. 1.2 seconds ahead of Reza. So we got the Alpine driver, who I think will be full-time for the final two races, because I don't think I've mentioned it straight up yet, but this is the penultimate race of the season. So that is why the championship battle is ending. And Engine has gone into his car, so all right on that front. I was getting a little bit worried that there was some issues with it not letting him into a car, but he is in there now, and I think he will be able to make at least one representative run in qualifying. We got Rapid, currently P2 in the standings, as I mentioned before. He has opted for this livery for today. I don't actually know how it's called, I just realized. It's like the with the black stripes on the halo. That one livery. We got Tongo Prof currently on his first lap, on what could be his first lap on the game in 3 weeks. As we know, Tom sometimes, or rather quite often, doesn't do a lot of practice, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is his literal first lap since the Japan race that he did. Or sorry, the race before Japan that he did. That was the last time he raced in FLR. A little bit shaky to the bus-stop chicane, the car trying to just snap away. And also snapping on the curve. He's basically everywhere. He's all the way on the left side of the track as he goes across the line, which is the opposite side to the one you wanna be, but he's in P3. And look at the margin to Reza, that's basically nothing at all. And you would have to say that Who Am I has to be the favorite for the race victory itself. Of course, Who Am I has still, I think that stat is still alive in that he has not lost a official race in FLR. He got beaten in the sprint in Mexico, but he has not lost a official race. We will see what implications that has for the championship fight. Obviously that means that the 25 points for a win will be harder to get, and you would have to say that this benefits Engine the most out of the 4 championship contenders. Because even if he has a bad race, or, well, I don't wish that, but maybe he has another disconnection and just has a bad race, then that means that everyone else is not outscoring him by as much as they could have. Rapid now into P4. There's still quite a large gap between, now it's gonna be a large gap between P4 and P5. That is 8 tenths between P4 and P5, which is quite a chasm actually, even for Spa. Especially when you see that, you know what I'm trying to say. Basically, gaps are still large. You got over 2 seconds from P1 to P5. Obviously, who am I with a stormer of a bunker at this stage? Engine beginning his lap. Obviously, Engine very experienced, very composed, and a very smooth driver. I don't think he is gonna be worrying about this championship right now. I think his mind is gonna be fully focused on making this a decent bunker lap. He's gonna have time for another one, I think. Just about. He's gonna have time for another one. As we see him navigate through this complex that I forgot how it's called. It's called Lake Com. Now coming down to the no-name corner, which is also known as 1010. Now through Blue Cells, or however that's pronounced. And now through the sweeping high-speed sequence of Puan. It's not gonna lift off the throttle at all, which is what you need to be doing in that sequence of corners. On the brakes, a little bit of trail braking there as he makes his way towards Stavelo now. That's gonna be sector 2, we'll see his split. That's gonna be purple. I wasn't really focusing on the sector time, so I don't know how true that is, but it looks like a very, very clean lap, especially considering it's a bunker. I think this should see him in the top 3 of the grid for sure. Or maybe he's gonna drop just a bit, because he's already run off deployment with like basically halfway down the back straight. Obviously from the bus stop and on this short run, that lack of battery is not gonna matter, but it matters on the back half of the straight. And he's gonna fall in half a second behind Who Am I, who is starting another lap himself, so we're just gonna see how he manages that. We'll see if we can notice any differences in ERS usage between himself and Engine. Now we can see the Williams approaching Lake Comp, just over a 10th up. True Lake Comp keeping it in 4th gear, upshift to 5th. Again on the battery, but it is literally just pressed for about 1 second on the exit there. Another very short press, I think that was less than a second of battery usage, so he's being very precise with his battery presses. Another little press there, this time a little longer, and another one there. So he just doesn't stamp on the button and keep it for forever, keep it turned on for forever. He prefers to have those smaller presses. You can see another one there, down to 4th gear. Out of Stavelo 2, almost 2.5 tenths up for the Williams. I think this could be his last run of the session. He's got a Haas ahead, and that is going to be Rusty. I don't know if he is on a lap or not, but Rusty unfortunately has been involved in a couple of blocking incidents since he has been in FLR. This is not going to be one of them because they both timed it basically perfectly. If there was any interference, then it was just some dirty air, but it didn't affect Who Am I don't think, because he has just put in a 41.3, has extended his advantage at the top to 7 tenths of a second. Reza has improved in the meantime as well. He's only 3 tenths behind Engine now, just over 3 tenths behind. So I think Alex Hendricks and Rapid have their work cut out for them if they want to catch Engine for this championship. Let's just go on board with the Ferrari of Barnels, the sole representative of the prancing horses today, because Panda has magically no-showed, which is not a very common occurrence for him. It must be said, so I hope everything is fine with him and for everyone else who hasn't showed up. But we're currently on board with Barnels. You can see he's sitting quite a little bit shaky as he begins his drive down the Camel Straight, and now he's already ending his drive down the Camel Straight. He's a little bit down on his time as he makes it through Lake Comp, and it's gonna be an invalidation. That was way too much of a cut. Rusty has retired in the pits. And we are now entering crunch time. So you can see the top 8 regrouping currently in the pits in preparation for the final runs. You wanna come out with a little bit more than 2 minutes left of the session, so they're gonna be doing that in about the next 30 seconds or so. In terms of people who are on tracks, or on the track, there's only one track, I don't know what I'm talking about. In terms of the people who are on track and still having a valid time, we have just Norman Wu, one of our 2 debutants for tonight, who is reserving in the Merc, deputizing for Hendrix Future, who I usually call LT on streams to distinguish from Alex Hendrix. Norman Wu being quite conservative with his battery deployment. Think that can use some improvements. Very wary on the exit of the bus stop, and that kind of looked weird. Like I know that he got a bad exit, but it kind of looked like the car just wasn't like he was at full throttle, and it was like the car was not receiving full power. I don't know. That's kind of what that looked like to me. We got a whole parade of the outlap label currently, as the top 8 are all on the outlaps, along with Welsh Benjamin, who has actually not managed to log in the time just yet. I think out of this lot, Engine is gonna be the first to start his lap. And we got the other new driver, Alex. I'm just gonna call you that for now. You can always correct me later on. I'm always open to listening how people's gamer tags are actually supposed to be pronounced. But for this evening, I'm just gonna call you Alex. So Alex currently on his lap. In the Alpine. I think he should just about manage to complete this lap without getting affected by traffic. Engine, as I said, the first person to start his final flying lap out of the top 8 group. Then we got Tom Prof starting his lap. Alex is almost 3 cents up, so this is quite nice, and unfortunately he's gonna lose quite a bit of time because he's not only gone off track, somehow avoided an invalidation, but he's also run out of deployment, as you can see on the bottom of your screen. We got other people starting the final flying laps. I think that is Barnard's, then you got Josh, and then you got everyone else in that company. And Alex is almost gonna spin the car coming out of the bus stop chicane. The session is over, so whatever he manages here will be his final time. Unfortunately, a 10th down on the time he had already, so P10 is gonna be the best that he will be able to do. Ben is gonna be the next person to conclude the session. You can see that the time is still valid, so hopefully he's gonna put something nice on the board and at least climb up to the upper midfield, which we know that he is capable of. Then the long straight, just keeping the battery nicely in the hot lap setting. To the bus stop chicane, nice trail braking there, a little bit of input on the apex. He's gonna run off deployment now, which is not gonna matter. Indeed, he goes exactly in the middle of the grid for now. P7 for Ben. Engine is out of deployment, but again, that's not gonna matter in this section. We'll see what the Kicksauber, the championship leader, will manage. It's gonna be a 42 point, actually basically an identical time to the one he had on the board already, so that is some consistency there. But he didn't manage to improve with better track conditions, unfortunately for him. Tom's gonna come across the line. He's not gonna be able to best engine, but that is quite a good time after 3 weeks away. That must be said. Barnard was down on his time in the middle sector split. We'll see if he has managed to find something in the last sector. Deploy Jules, he's not gonna be able to find anything. Josh is gonna come across the line next, and there's also the house of Reza. Reza is gonna jump ahead of Tom. We got Alex Hendricks, half a second up. Who am I improves as well. He's gonna go 41.1. He's gonna take Paul by a second, almost a second, over Engine. But Engine, crucially, is gonna hold on to P2, and he's gonna start highest out of the championship contenders. And Reza starts ahead of the other 3 championship contenders, so Engine has found himself a buffer in the form of another Ferrari-powered car. So that could have been a disastrous outcome for Engine if he had trouble making it into the session or something. But he has managed to make it quite nice for himself with that lap, or even with his bunker lap actually, because he didn't improve on the other one. And now we're gonna go into our customary 5-minute break. That's just what we do if you are new and don't know that yet. And we'll be back for the 22 lap race. Seems a little bit cloudy overhead, but not unexpected in Spa. I don't think that's 5 minutes, but what do I know? Ian has already gotten himself disqualified, so just the usual stuff, really. You cannot fool me, that was not 5 minutes. How we got a restart, haven't we? Just the usual stuff then. Cool. Yeah, I have guessed it, don't worry. I was quite bamboozled for like 20 seconds, but yeah, I figured. So in the meantime, I'm just gonna go show you a lap of Spa. Just give me something to do. I would guess it was a new driver, but then yeah, it happens. So here we are at Spa. And whatever the hell I have a setup for it. I don't know why I'm worrying about that. I'm just here for like 2 minutes, just so I have something to do. I was gonna wait for my invite. So, Spa officially consists of 20 corners. This one is the last of them, which is the bus of chicane. Here we have last horse. Which requires quite aggressive turning and, well, braking before you turn in. Now we head up towards Radion, which I think it's counted as 2 corners actually. Actually even as 3 corners now that I looked at the official track map. So that is turns 2, 3 and 4 and 5 that we just went through there. This is the Camel Straight. Now we are in the Lake Com complex, which consists of another 3 corners. We just went through turns 7, 8, 9, coming up to the right-hander of turn 10, which is the no-name corner as it's called. Then back over to the right side of the road and to the left, which is Brussels, 10, 11. Then we got Puan, which should be flat. About flat, let's just ignore that. They're coming up to Campus, which is this right-hander. I think that is 10, 14 now. Then we got Stavelo, which the first Stavelo we just exited out of, and then we got Stavelo 2, which we are now exiting out of. And on to the Camel Straight, and that was turns 15, 16. And now, as we are on this King, this actually counts as 2 corners for some reason. That one is called Blanchimont, I don't think the other one has a name. And then back down to turn 20, the Busts of Chicane. And that was a lap of Spa. And we can head to the new lobby now. Attempt number 2 is underway, starting of course with the formation lap and with everyone having got their stoves back. Thanks to Alex, who was very nice and cared about the whole grid. So he's given everyone their stoves back. On a more serious note, in terms of the tire strategy, we got Who Am I. By now we expect him to do this. He likes to start on the hardest compound. And we got Josh and Chichi on that same strategy. So it's a big hard sandwich. And then we have 11 drivers on mediums. So for the first time in a while, at least in the races that I've seen, no one has gone for the bold strategy of starting on the softs, which I think is correct, as Who Am I has gone way off the track, and that's probably going to be the biggest mistake that we will see from him all day. And I think it's not going for softs is a smart decision. There's quite a big performance gap between the three compounds in Spa. Hards can go basically the entire race, something like 70 laps probably, while mediums get worn and start sliding after about 6 laps, and they only go about 10-11 laps, maybe even less than that. I haven't done Spa in a long time. Actually, the last time I did Spa was in August. That was my very first league race on this game. But we can guess some things based on how the preseason race went in January, and in that race, the one-stop strategy was dominant. We had some people tried a two-stop, including Ian and I believe Barnard's, but it didn't really pay off for them. So I think hard medium or medium hard are the only two reasonable choices for this race. I think everyone else, anyone who tries something like medium hard medium or medium medium hard, anything outside a one stop with the hard and medium is just a weird, both a weird and a bold choice at the same time. So we have lined up. It's going to be the smallest grid of the season, but hopefully the 14 drivers that we do have here will give us some excitement, some entertainment, something to talk about for me. 5 red lights are on, and we are underway for the Belgian Grand Prix. It's quite a tentative start there from Engine, but neither of the front row starters are going to be challenged into La Source. We got the McLaren of Tom already making up a position. We have the kick of Marshall very close to the wall on the right hand side of the track. I think he got clipped and pushed towards that wall. Hopefully he's going to be underway without any major issues. Reza off to a bad start. He's lost the position to Tongo Prof, and Tongo Prof is already challenging to the left hand side of Engine. But Engine is going to be ahead, and himself is going to challenge Who Am I as they head into Lake Com. Tom with a minor snap, and I think Reza is going to take that opportunity to attack him, but he's not going to be able to just quite slip through. Alex Hendricks, you could see in the background of the shot there, he's still in P6 where he started. He's behind Rapid. So Engine has got one of his championship rivals on his rear wing, but the other two are still stuck behind Reza. But Who Am I, crucially for himself and his strategy, is maintaining the lead on those hard tires, which is not an easy feat. Of course, it's easier when you have skill like Who Am I's, but still not the easiest of feats. Out of Staffelo 2, Who Am I has opened up a nice gap of a few car lengths back to Engine. I see the possible race strategies. Of course, only the top choice is legitimate. I think that is actually the strategy that will be dominant in today's field. The Engine has actually caught up to Who Am I a little bit in that last sector. We got Norman having some kind of issue at the West of Chicane, or at the exit of it rather. Let's see what Engine will be able to do. Tom has spent quite a bit of battery. We got Wes Benjamin making a move on Rassi Olkan, currently involved in a battle with the house there. Engine is challenging Who Am I, and Who Am I is not gonna make a defensive move of any kind, and just like that, Engine slips through at the entry to lay comp. Ian makes a move on Josh, and Ben has made another move on Chichi, so that is about 2 positions gained for Ben in the span of about 30 seconds. We got Alex picking up a time penalty. I didn't quite catch what penalty that was. I don't know if it showed up. It's for multiple warnings, so unfortunately he's been quite naughty with track limits in this race already. And now Engine is the leader and is gonna try to slip away from Who Am I. Let's see. Engine, Tongo Prof, their main focus is gonna be getting as many points as they can for the championship, for the respective championship prospects. Alex Hendricks battling with Rapid, so those are the other 2 championship contenders. And Rapid has lost out in that battle. There was a brief yellow flag, I don't know if that was related. I think that would have been related because Rapid in fact is over 2 seconds behind Alex Hendricks now, so I think there was contact between those 2 championship contenders there. Rapid is immediately trying to retake this position, trying to go on the outside of Ian. Ian is not having any of that at the moment. And while this pair has lost the DRS to Alex Hendricks himself on the verge of losing the DRS to Reza ahead. He's trying to get back in there. It's gonna be really close. You can see the margin on the left hand side of your screen, and I think he's just about missed the DRS. He didn't get below a second at any point. We've also got something going on with Rusty. Yes, there was another really brief yellow. The entire top 4 really low on battery right now. And sure, Spa is long and the mediums are not really a strong tire around here, but I wouldn't think that they are dropping off after only 2 laps. I think this is you are now seeing just Who Am I's raw pace, allowing him to keep up with Engine, obviously with the help of the DRS as well, on the start-finish straight and down the Camel straight. But Engine is not really pulling away, even in this how do you say it? How do you say it? I'm missing a word. I meant to say like grip dependent section. He has pulled out a little bit, but it was only about half a tenth or so. And now Who Am I is just gaining it all back, even though he is on non or on medium deployment now, and Engine was on hot lap for the first half of the back straight basically. So I think we are now just seeing Who Am I's raw pace on display. And again, getting a little bit of DRS. That was a very strong exit from Engine there, who gained about 3/10 on Who Am I, but Who Am I is immediately regaining one of those tenths. Currently 7.5 tenths behind. There's actually very similar gaps between all of the top 4 cars. Engine is not using overtake, and neither is Who Am I. Tom is using his overtake though, and he's going to be almost completely out of battery, but the rest are not close enough to take advantage of that. And Engine, even though Who Am I might once again prove to be faster, Engine is not in a bad position considering his championship fight. He's ahead of all the people who are chasing him. Alex Hendricks and Rapid are not even in this DRS chain of the leaders. So the one with the biggest chance now to continue fighting Engine for the championship is Tongo Prof, who obviously you would have to say has been kind of the dominant driver of this season, even though he only got his first win out in Baku not that long ago. But right now his pace after 3 weeks away is proving to be not enough, as he is teetering on the edge of the DRS range to Who Am I, and I think he might fall out. He's trying to recharge the battery, but I think he's just about going to fall out of DRS. I don't know exactly where the detection line is for this short DRS zone. I think that's it right there, but he didn't get DRS. He didn't get DRS. It's gonna take a mighty assault from him to be in DRS again. for the Camel Straight. Just watch the gap at the left hand side of your screen. I don't think it's gonna be enough. I think it's gonna be like it was for Alex Hendricks not long ago. I think he's gonna miss out only by about 30 thousandths or so of a second. And right ahead of him is gonna be a move from Who Am I, who is using the slipstream down the Camel Straight. He's gonna go to the right hand side of Engine, and it's gonna take the inside for Lecombe, and Engine couldn't really defend that. So Who Am I retakes the lead that he had originally lost briefly, but now the Williams is back in front. What's crucial though is that he made that move on the straight, so it didn't really affect Engine in any way, and they were both able to stay clear of Tom. And behind Tom, Reza is losing pace slightly, and now Alex Hendricks might be getting into the DRS again. Rapid has lost a lot of time. Just gonna have a look at his end plates, but they appear to be fine. Obviously, while I was away, Rapid won the race at Singapore, which was his first FLR victory in quite some time. I think... I'm not quite sure if it was his first FLR victory on F125. I'm not quite sure on that. Obviously, Rapid has basically won races in FLR on every game since we launched this week. This league. It doesn't really matter what generation of cars it is, what handling model it is. Rapid is usually near the top. Only getting further away from the top because of the really fast drivers that we've been getting semi-regularly. But right now he's running in P6 and under pressure from Ian, which is not something you see often. But he's far enough ahead so that slipstream will be basically non-existent and Ian will not be able to strike on the Camel Straight. Behind them they got Josh, so there's a nice little DRS train of 3 cars there. Getting slightly ahead of these guys, Reza has now lost DRS to Tom, and Hendricks is now within DRS of Reza. Who Am I has also pulled away from the DRS of Engine, so none of the top 4 have DRS anymore. But Engine, well, he might be losing another race to Who Am I. The Engine has lost a couple of battles with Who Am I by now. The last one that I saw being in Japan, where he basically pitted too early because he expected a 2-stop, while it was in fact a 1-stop race in Japan. But if he loses this one, it looks like it's gonna be on raw pace rather than strategy, because Who Am I is flying right now. Panda has joined, which is a little bit late, very late even, because we had the whole lobby restart and we still managed to run 6 whole laps before Panda joined, and he has immediately left as well. We'll see if the Merc of Alex Hendricks will be getting the DRS from Reza. I think he will. He's safely within range. And as we know, Alex Hendricks likes to run setups on the lower end of downforce, and we see that in effect right now. He didn't even need to use that much battery. He basically flew right past Reza. So I think he's running 0-0 wings or something very close to it. Barnes comes into the pit, so I think he's doing the same thing that he did in the preseason and doing a 2-stop. But to be fair, you can also do a 1-stop from here, I think. I think Harry's gonna go 15 laps and not even suffer that much of a drop-off. It's not gonna be a critical drop-off. It could still be a 1-stop. Apparently Panda forgot about the race, unfortunately. He just put a message in, so that is unfortunate. Hopefully Barnett will be able to bring home a good result for the Prancing Horses. So far been quite the uneventful race, but I'm gonna take that any day over a chaotic affair which sees half the grid be pissed off about it at the end. We're currently watching the house of Rusty, who is trying to break the arrest to Alex. Both cars still understanding mediums, of course. Barnes having been the only person into their box so far. There's quite a nice cam. Ian also into the pits. So once again, about on the edge of it being either one stopper or a two stopper. I think it's gonna be the hard boots for Ian. We got Reza potentially looking to re-challenge Alex Hendricks, and he is gaining, and he's overtaking. So Alex Hendricks losing that position again. But what's working in his favor is the fact that he has about a 70% battery advantage right now. He is literally at full battery right now. So I think the next time he tries this move, he should use a little bit more battery on the backstreet maybe, to make sure that Reza can stay close enough to re-challenge him. But of course he doesn't have the information that I have about the battery levels, so it's always a bit harder in the actual driver's seat. In terms of the leader watch, Who Am I has extended his advantage to 3 seconds over engine. 3 and a bit, 3.3 actually. And engine has an even larger gap back to Tom himself. Currently watching from the driver's shoulder cam on board Tom. You see Tom came into the season looking for his third Drivers' Championship in FLR, as we see the King Sauber of engine pull off into the pits. Obviously, that holiday that he went on kind of messed with those plans. Tom Goprof has so far won championships in Season 2 and Season 4. So it's been a few seasons, a couple game cycles since he's won the championship. And by the looks of things, it seems that he's gonna have to wait at least one more season. Next season, of course, being our 10th season. So stay tuned in the Discord for news about that. We will see how that will be handled. Of course, we got in early June the F126 DLC should be coming out. So we'll see what happens with that, if we will be moving to the DLC section for the new season. We're gonna figure something out, I'm sure. Alex Hendricks has taken a position from Reza again. We'll see if he will take my advice and use battery down the back straight. Reza's staying quite close to him, but you could see that a little bit of hesitation with going to throttle there. Those mediums definitely gonna be feeling a little bit of a fall off by now. You can see that Who Am I on the hard is now over 9 seconds ahead of Tom after 9 laps, so those mediums definitely falling off. Of course, Tom is still getting used to the car as well. Actually, Who Am I pits. Who Am I has pitted. Is he gonna do 9 laps on hards and 13 laps on mediums, or is he gonna do for a 2-stop? Obviously, Who Am I, we know he can run basically any strategy, as we see basically the entire current top 5 come in. I think, yeah, Who Am I is gonna definitely run a 2-stop. Quite an interesting decision. Obviously, we know that Who Am I can succeed using any strategy. He won with 2 stops in Mexico and China. Of course, 2-stop being the preferred strategy in Mexico, but not in China. In China, really, the 1-stop is better, and Who Am I just still made it work with his raw pace and the tire advantage that he had on his last stint over everyone else he was fighting. And Who Am I is gonna come back to the track ahead of Josh on those soft tires. Josh, of course, still on starting hards, as is Chichi, who is currently in P5. But Chichi trying to come back from a qualifying ban. I don't know exactly what he got it for. I think maybe it was for exceeding the penalty point threshold. for a Caliban. But he's doing what he can to still bring home a good position for the Visa team. Obviously Visa, as we know, one of the three fighters still in the Constructors battle. I already said that in qualifying, but it was a long time ago now, so just a quick reminder, we got Kicksauber leading by 23 points over McLaren, and then another 3 points back to Visa in terms of the Constructors fight. We got Engine going around the outside of Josh at the Bastard Chicane, and the Kicksauber gets the move done. I don't think there's going to be anything that Josh will be able to do about it. But Who Am I has put a massive gap onto Engine in just one lap. Obviously, Who Am I might well be the only person today to use softs in race conditions, and I would not be surprised at all if he still wins with that, because obviously those are going to be fresh softs. Everyone started with at least 3 sets of fresh softs after the lobby restart. So we'll keep an eye on the delta between Who Am I and Engine. In the meantime, we'll also be keeping an eye on the delta between Reza and Chichi, because Reza on 9-lap fresher tires is coming up to the rear wing of the Visa. And it remains to be seen if he will be patient or if he will go for a move in a corner in the middle sector somewhere. Chichi is very slow at the present, obviously being on those older tires. We'll see if he's gonna fight this one, and he's gonna fight this one. He's actually gonna regain the position by using the outside line on the entry to pull on. Now through Campus, and Reza is continuing to be stuck behind, but that was a nice example of defense being turned into offense by Chichi there. Out of Stavelo 2, Chichi is continuing to flash his rear light. He was recharging as he was in the corner, obviously, but now he's defending. It appears that Reza has a little bit of an edge in terms of straight line speed. He's gonna go to the outside of Blanchimont, or thought about going to the outside of Blanchimont, but he ultimately decided not to do that. He's gonna go on the outside of the bus stop. Chichi once again is gonna go brake really late, and once again will retain the position. And these cars are getting just a little bit bottled up. We got Rapid, who was previously about 4 seconds behind Alex Hendricks, and now he is right behind this whole trio. So I think that actually might be the reason why Chichi is doing this in the first place. I think he might be bunching those cars up so his teammate can get closer to them. Now we got Reza and Alex Hendricks trying to go through Chichi. There's a little bit of wheel banging on the Camel Straight. They're still side by side. Alex Hendricks is going to try to get 2 positions for the price of 1, and he's going to do so. Chichi is going to go to the outside of Reza, and it's going to be a little bit of contact. I think we're going to have another report coming in. From the perspective I saw it, I can't really put blame on anyone there. I think it was just hard racing. One person on old tires fighting hard, and one person on new tires fighting hard. And just a little bit of contact wheel to side spot. That didn't end well for Chichi, but I don't think he picked up damage. It looked to be quite minor, but he's done quite a favor for his Visa teammate. He's currently on the back of Reza and trying to get another position. Reza continuing to stay on the back of Alex Hendricks, who once again being quite conservative with his battery on the back straight. It remains to be seen if it will cost him again. He's recharging in the second half of the straight into the Bastard Chicane, clambering over the inside curb and over the exit curb. We'll see if Reza will be recharging again. Alex Hendricks is recharging again as they make their way to the right-hander of La Source. And we'll see what happens here. The gap's about equal between this entire trio. But Eccentric just pulling a little bit of a gap over the top of Radion and Rouge. But he was recharging again on the straight, and he's recharging again as a Goma to Lecom, but ultimately he holds the position, and I think that was a smart choice by him. Or rather, I'm gonna put it this way, it was a risky choice by him, but it proved to be smart in the end because he maintained the position. And he continues to have a massive battery advantage. Actually, he could have afforded to use a little bit of the battery and still have 90-odd%, but he decided to not do that on the camo straight. Marshall has now picked up a time penalty, and something is not quite right because I'm not getting the pop-ups with the time penalties. Somewhere along the way, Barnes had picked up a penalty as well, and I missed it because I didn't have the pop-up. Tomko Prof makes his way past McLaren. what am I saying? Past Josh. Well, they're both at McLaren, you know. And Who Am I is back in the pits after only 4 laps on the softs. And we'll see if he will elect to have mediums or hards for his last stint, and it's gonna be the mediums. So now he's gonna have to catch back up to engine. He's gonna come out comfortably in P3. And I think he's gonna be in the DRS range of Tom immediately. And I'm not quite sure what I would do if I was in Tom's situation, because to fight for and Tom is not really gonna have a say. He's not really gonna have a choice, so my whole point is moot. Who Am I breezes past, and he has to only catch up 8 seconds to engine in the next 8 laps, which is easily doable around Spa when you have a 5-lap tire advantage and a compound advantage. In fact, Who Am I has already gained 3/10 just in the time since I spoke that sentence. Reza has gone back past Alexandrix, and Alexandrix is still not using his battery to full effect. You can see that he's just driving all the way around these corners with 100% in his bank. He needs to be careful or he will attract an attack from Rapid. So we got Chichi, the only person left out on the starting tires. I think he might want to come in this lap. I think he's been on this hard long enough, and I think 8 laps is quite a comfortable stint on mediums. Both Who Am I and Josh will be going 9 laps on their respective sets of mediums, so I think 8 laps is easily doable, especially on low fuel. So we'll see if Chichi does that, and he does do that. So barring any incidents, this will be the last pit stop that we will be seeing today. Maybe Barnes or Ian are gonna make stops, but I think they're on a 1 stop after all. We are looking at this trio again. There's the fight for P4 at the moment. Alexandric DRS wide open. The slow downforce philosophy working to good effect, and he breezes ahead of the Haas. Rapid not really in their battle yet. He is just lurking behind in the background. And apart from this free battling, nothing is really happening right now. Well, we'll see if another switcheroo will be made on the camo state. Out the bust of chicane, Reza continuing to stay quite close to Alex Hendricks, obviously as close as the dirty air will allow him. Getting quite squarely in the dirty air over the top of Radion and Rush. Or Arush and Radion rather, no. Reza makes the move again, but he went kind of a little bit deep at the start of the lake complex. It didn't affect him really in any way. In the end though. Wema is now within striking distance of Engine. I think he will be in his DRS this time by. And this is a situation that Engine knows very well. He has been caught up by Who Am I on fresher tires several times before. It looks like it's happened yet again. If Engine will be able to stay out of the to keep Who Am I out of the DRS, it's gonna buy him some time, but I don't think he's gonna be able to do that. Who Am I is gonna hang on by about half a tenth of a second. He's gonna get DRS. He is low on battery, but again, so is Engine. And I think this will be another win that will be taken away from Engine in the late stages of a race. Who Am I only 6 seconds behind now as they navigate their way around the middle sector. In terms of the midfield, we got Josh really gaining on Ian, coming at him at the rate of knots, so we will switch to that battle when their time comes. Who Am I just stalking his prey at this point and just trying to recharge, but Who Am I has got the advantage in the battery department as well, in addition to his tire advantage. Now all that is left is to set up this move. They are both in no deployment, and Who Am I ever calculated is not gonna go for the move before last source. Alex Hendricks and Reza are having a nice battle as well. We're gonna see the move for the lead. And we're not gonna see the move from the lead, we're gonna see the re-overtake for the lead. Because Engine, with the DRS, is gonna retake the position from Who Am I. The question remains, is he actually able to defend this? Is the pace gonna even out as the mediums fall off, or if he just is delaying the inevitable at this point? Rapid is passing away with Reza quite vigorously, but ultimately he's not able to take the position for good at the end of the Camel Straight. Reza has picked up a 3-second time penalty as well. And Alex Hendricks continues to lead this small chain. We are gonna stay on board with Who Am I the entire way around La Source this time, because I don't wanna miss the antics of these two guys. Round 2 is upon us. Once again we have the scenario with Who Am I approaching on the back straight and heading down to the bus. So this time he's a little bit farther away from the rear wing of the Kick Sauber. 4 laps remain after this one. But you know, it sounds like a short distance, but it's about 28 kilometers. So plenty of opportunities for Who Am I to get this move done for good. Engines recharging again. Is he gonna be recharging on the exit of this corner as well? Yes, he will. Who Am I this time is wiser to it and is gonna stay behind all the way to the detection line, and this time the Williams is gonna be the one who's gonna have DRS down the back straight, out of Radion, and the Williams is gonna have the power of the DRS and of the battery on his side. He's gonna sweep in, cut back to the racing line. I think that is the lead taken for good by the Williams driver. But the reserve driver really is just in the Williams for this evening specifically. And I think he's gonna be continuing his undefeated run in the future races. Something's happened between Rapid and Reza some time ago, I would assume, because Rapid has lost ground again. This is the second time that he's had a minor altercation with someone in this race and has lost ground. A little bit of a smoky right front lockup there as well from him. That's not gonna help things. Chichi has made a move on Barnes, obviously Chichi with the freshest tires of anyone in the field. And he gets past Barnes, who I think might have had an off, looking at how far away he is from Chichi already. And Chichi has gone wide and has Les Barnes back past, I think. So I think something had happened between those two. There's some nice sportsmanship from Chichi there, if that was the case. I think it was the case. I think that's what he was telling with the weave, with the little side to side there. So Barnes back in P10, but with a time penalty. Alex Hendricks and Reza are going to battle again. Obviously, the positions look to be decided already, provided that Alex Hendricks is not gonna get a penalty himself. Alex Hendricks choosing not to strike on this occasion. I think he might just wait until the last lap at this point. Then again, it's not really... It's not really a move that he needs to hurry to make. He came in a little bit too hot into the no-name corner as well. You could see that he picked up gas on his right front tire. Chichi has made a move on Barnard. I think he's weaving again just to say sorry to him for whatever happened between them earlier, but I think he's gonna be taking that position and driving away now. So Chichi having gained 4 positions from his qualifying, Barnes having a little whiff of his own, and also picking grass on his right front, just how Alex Hendricks did it. We got another battle being cooked up here in the form of Josh. In the form of George bearing down on Ian. It's gonna be a huge speed difference on the back straights, almost like watching 2026 real life regulations with the speed delta there. Josh closed up on Ian like anything. Whether that was just a play by Ian to get DRS, but he needs to be careful so that Josh doesn't use his tire advantage to drive away through the corners. Or through last source, rather. Because those other corners that they're coming up to now are only corners in technicality. Alex Hendricks has breezed by Reza again, and that could be the final position change between those two guys. Ian is now challenging Josh. Josh is not gonna be using his battery to defend at all. I think Josh is just gonna wait around and repay Ian on the last lap, or he's just gonna go around his outside by braking later. That was a really easy solution from Josh there, easier than the one I was proposing. I don't think he's gonna be losing this position. We got a Merc going slowly. I think that's gonna be Norman, who has actually been lapped by both WMI and Engine, so I think he was just being nice, letting both of these guys ahead of him. It kind of appeared, seemed like there was a cloud of steam suddenly over the rear wing of Ian. I don't know if I'm just seeing things. But I don't think they've introduced engine failures to multiplayer yet. I don't think they've done that. So Alex Hendricks with the battery advantage that he has had this entire race, but in the slightly tricky position of being the leading car on the last lap when there are still 2 DRS zones to go. And Reza in the Haas sticking really close to the back of him as well. Alex Hendricks has all the battery in the world to burn down the camera straight. But Reza is going to have the advantage of DRS, but he's below 10%, so he's going to be derating, he's going to be losing engine power. But I think he's going to fly past anyway. Alex Hendricks in the end, that battery hoarding approach, not paying dividends. Of course, he's still going to have the backstreet to retake that position. We also got Ian and Josh truly come now, and Ian did not manage to catch back up to Josh, and in fact he's also going to be losing his position to Welsh Benjamin, who does not have a penalty. Who Am I is onto the back straight now, out of Stavro 2, coming up to Blanchimont. It's been a dominant performance again from the reserve. Yet another race where he did an unorthodox 2-stop and came out on top. He's going to come through the bus stop chicane. And the Williams is going to be victorious at the Belgian Grand Prix. Andrew's going to come across the line in P2. He's not going to quite win the championship just yet, but he's going to extend his advantage to 29 points and basically only needs to finish the race next week to win the championship. Tonko probably is going to come across the line in P3. Reza is going to come home in P4 on the road, but the position is in reality going to go to Alex Hendricks, with Rapid also moving up to P5. Reza demoted to P6. There was a large gap behind him, so he didn't need to worry about losing anything else. Joe's going to come across the line in P7, Ian in P8, but he's going to be demoted to P9. Chichi chased to the line by Bardas, who's going to come across the line in 10th with a nice gain of 4 positions after his qualifying ban. Bardas is going to come home in P11, and Chichi actually, I don't know, trying to let him back pass again, something like that. Bardas in the end did manage to do a 1-stop. So I think it was only Who Am I with a 2-stop, and Alex is going to be the last finisher, well, last in the sense of chronologically crossing the line, because Norman has already finished a lap down and the outping across the line in P13. That's going to complete this race. Again, just to recap what I said already, Engine is well on his way to his second FLR championship. Basically only needs to finish next week. Next week, I believe we are at the reverse version of Spielberg in Austria. Driver of the day from the game is Chichi. You know what, I agree. Although a honorable mention to Who Am I for being the only person to do a 2-stop and pulling off the win with it. Not that it was exactly unexpected, but still it was an unorthodox strategy. You can see how weird that strategy was. Only using softs for 4 laps, I think he did. Yeah, only for 4 laps. And that's gonna be it. Fortunately, the things that I had to deal with have kind of subsided, and I'm gonna be back on comms. I'm gonna be back on comms next week for the finale, for the championship decider, with now Engine and Tom being the only people left in contention. Unfortunately, Alex Hendricks and Rapid being outscored by enough points that they're not gonna have a chance anymore. And yeah, that's basically it. I'm gonna catch you there in Austria. So take care, everyone. Have a nice evening and a nice next week.